Hello and welcome to the Aishwarya Center. I'm Shohini Sengupta. I'm a fellow here at the center.
I'm Aishwarya Giridhar. I'm a junior fellow, and today we'd like to talk to you about the latest report in our Culture and IP series, which is on trends in digital copyright infringement and enforcement in India. So we wanted to talk a little bit about why we started the series and why we're doing this report in particular. And copyright and IP is one of those areas in law that have been around for a really long time, but that continues to have relevance in very different ways in our lives right now. But that continues to play out in like really interesting ways as content develops and as the ecosystem develops and as research develops and as its uses develop as well. So for example, recently something that caused quite a controversy with lots of arguments on both sides was the JNU data depot, where basically Karl Malamud and Andrew Lin created this database of over 70 million research articles in JNU in Delhi and allowed access to researchers for the purpose of text and data mining. And now whether or not this falls into the fair use exception under copyright law is something that's generated a lot of controversy. You have a lot of great arguments on both sides. And so I think it's really interesting to explore these sort of areas.
Yeah, so taking up from that JNU data depot case, I think the reason why we did this report series, which is a contemporary culture and IP series, I think was an attempt on our part to sort of tease out certain ideas of IP and place it in a larger digital context. So we are looking at not just copyright, we are also looking at a lot of traditional music and a lot of other sort of areas that are playing out, particularly in the entertainment media and entertainment space, because we are getting data there easily. We're also in a larger space on developing new sort of legal methodology and thoughts about this. And one of the reasons we're doing this is because digital culture is directly impacting not just intellectual property rights, but a range of legal topics and subjects, and vice versa. So for example, the copyright directive that came out in the EU is directly having an impact on the kind of content we are going to get to see either on Google or possibly in the future on OTT platforms. The issues of intermediary liability raise questions of data portability and data security and privacy, but also raise very important questions of copyright and ownership, etc. So in an attempt to sort of, I think, make the subject more interdisciplinary, to bring in socio-cultural aspects into our work, this entire series was designed to sort of take each report and deep dive into specific areas. And the previous report sets out the definitional sort of background context of what is it when we talk about contemporary culture, what are the trends that we see in the future. As far as this report is concerned, maybe you can sort of walk me through like what are the different aspects that perhaps we'll be talking about.
Yeah, so I think this report is interesting. So in this one, we're looking particularly at enforcement mechanisms and seeing whether they work or not and how they work and not. I think this is important to do because there seems to be this sort of collective, at least among the rights holders, this collective view that having stricter enforcement mechanisms somehow ensures higher adherence to copyright law, and that's not necessarily the case. And what we've also seen is that because of this general mindset, and because I guess that's how laws are also framed a lot of times, we don't necessarily look too much into the drivers of piracy, the drivers of infringement in other ways, which could also spur on further innovation. But we just sort of have more stringent laws, or we have different sorts of mechanisms from different ways, which just which focus too much on enforcement and not enough on the other parts of it. So in this report, what we're trying to do is look at recent judicial and legislative trends. We're looking at best practices in terms of policy from other countries. We're looking at the economic drivers of piracy and seeing what data we have available there and what studies we have and what we don't. And so basically, I think with this report is just to see what the situation is like in India specifically and draw from different countries to see what we can learn from them and how we can remedy our copyright systems.
Yeah, and I think the important takeaway from this is that we are giving incremental changes to be made either in our policies, in our laws. We're not talking about an overhaul of the entire system, and although we should discuss that as well. And in this video series, probably we're going to be exploring different recommendations or learnings that we come up with in these various chapters.